welcome to my 2022 favorites. This is the first part of my annual makeup favorite series. If you missed it, we've already kicked off my annual series with my skincare favorites that I will link on the screen above, as well as my general favorites like body, hair, nail, and fragrance. And I'll link that one on the screen in case you missed it. But today we're talking all about base products. I'm super excited because I tried a couple products recently and they snuck their way into this favorites video, so keep a lookout for those. We got a lot to talk about, and you know what? I'm gonna start with highlighter because that is just what is calling my name right now. My first pick in each category is going to be my number one, if I could only pick one favorite. And for me, my all-time favorite highlighter has to be the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is in the shade 3. It's just a little mini. Unfortunately, she only makes a couple shades in the minis. Luckily, mine is one of them. For some people, this may not be a highlighter, but to me it is because I prefer a natural glow. I find that this gives me the most beautiful skin-like lit from within type of glow that just makes me look, I don't know, expensive. Like, I feel like I look expensive when I wear this. It layers beautifully on top of anything. Creams, powders, whatever, it gets the job done. It's never shimmery or glittery. It doesn't add that like blinding highlight that really emphasizes texture. It's just the perfect kind of product that adds a little bit of light and this kind of soft blurred effect to the skin. I love the name Hollywood Flawless Filter for it because that's really what I feel like it does. It filters the skin. I can't imagine how anyone uses this as a primer like all over their face. I feel like that would be way too much, but for me, on the high points of my face, on my collarbones, shoulders, oof. So good. A product I've only been testing for a couple weeks, but I have fallen head over heels in love with is the LH Cosmetics Shaping Light in the shade Cool Glow. This is a multi-use highlighter. You can use it on your body, you can use it on your face, you can use it as a primer. This is another product where you can't see any visible shimmer or glitter particles. It just looks to add light to the skin. I love this shade because it's one of the only highlighters I have that's like a proper white kind of cool glow, and I find that for certain looks, that just really hits. And much like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, this sets down as well. So it doesn't leave you with any kind of sticky, tacky, dewy, balmy kind of feeling. This also applies great over powders. A little bit goes a long way, so you can add just a tiny bit to your skin to give it a little bit of a glow, but you can also really build this up for much more shine than you can with the Hollywood Flawless Filter. And what's great about this is because it's a liquid and you can just squeeze a little bit out, you can mix it into foundations, moisturizers, blushes, you can really customize this kind of a formula. And I just think it's fantastic. I cannot wait to keep using this in 2023. The most blinding highlight that I own is the Beauty Pie Triple Beauty Luminizing Wand. Now, everybody told me this was a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight Wand. I actually prefer this. I just got the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight Wand in PR, and it was pretty, but I didn't really feel like it did what this did. I can see some visible shimmer particles on my skin when I wear this, but that's why this is what I reach for when I really am going for more of a glam look, and I want it to look like I'm wearing highlighter rather than something that is incredibly skin-like. Maybe I'll add a touch on my nose, like one little boop, and you just have a total, I mean, it looks like you're adding light to your face. It's crazy. Anyways, Beauty Pie just makes some of my favorite formulas, and a lot of times the products that people say these are dupes for, I find are actually better than the products they're duping. And if you ever want $10 off, you can use my code KAITSENTME. And my last favorite highlighter of 2022 is another one that I've just been testing the past 2 weeks and just snuck its way into my favorites. It's the Vieve Cosmetics Skin Dew. This highlighter is gonna be for people who want that beautiful glow, still skin-like, but customizable to the point where you can really build it up. But for people who like a more dewier finish, this does feel like a skincare bomb. And when you first squeeze it on your hand, it's a little bit surprising because it is like very yellow gold, and it looks almost like a metallic yellow gold gel. So when I first squeezed this out, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna hate this. Color is all wrong. It's super sticky and dewy. I just was like, there's no way this is gonna work for me. But after I applied it, I realized that it really does do what it says on the website, and they describe this as being something that melts into the skin, and they're absolutely right. They said that the shade works on all skin tones. They're totally right on me. As you can see, I'm wearing it right now on my cheekbones, my nose, and my collarbones. It doesn't look super crazy yellow or anything like that. It just looks like you have really beautiful, expensive looking skin. What I will say about this is it stays dewy and a little bit like a little bit tacky or a little bit kind of gel-like on the skin for about 30 minutes. So it takes 30 minutes, but then it does set completely down. It definitely gives me that glossy skin look, and I'm so glad that I ended up picking this up. All right, let's get brows over with because I just have the same two products that I always talk about. The L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer is a forever favorite. I've gone through at least 10 of these, at least. And this is in the shade Brunette. I love that it's a super skinny pencil, so you can just mimic your natural brow hairs. I find that I have sparse hairs in the front section of my eyes and in the tail end of my eyes, and any kind of thicker pencil just does not give me the same look that this does. I love that it has a spoolie on the end. It comes in a ton of different shades and you can get it on Ulta for just a few dollars. The best brow gel I've ever tried is the Live Tinted Huebrow Clear Brow Setting Gel. This is never flaky or waxy or like gooey or heavy looking. It holds your brows in place, kind of like a brow wax or a brow pomade, like a lamination brow kind of product, but has the softness of more of a standard brow gel. So it's just a really interesting formula to me. It really holds those brows in place without feeling like flaky or heavy. I just think it is one of the best products I've ever tried. Live Tinted keeps coming out with like really innovative formulas that are just pushing the beauty industry forward. So if you haven't tried them, I have tons of content about their products on my channel. They are definitely one to watch. Okay, let's move to concealers. And if you're new here, I rarely wear foundation, so you will almost never see a foundation in my favorites videos. Instead, I like to just strategically place concealer on my skin and then blend it in only in the areas where I need to. That way, I'm leaving the rest of my skin, usually on the perimeter of my face, completely blank. And I find that that way I'm able to get the coverage that I need in certain areas while still having like the skin-like appearance that I'm not actually wearing heavy makeup. So with that being said, my favorite product for all over the face this year was actually the REM Sweetener Concealer in 7C. This blew my damn mind. First of all, 7C is a perfect shade match for me. It is super pink and it's really light, and that is exactly what I need. I have such a hard time finding this kind of shade. Usually concealers or foundations on me are either too yellow or they're too light, and this one is just the perfect middle ground. This is like the NARS Soft Matte Concealer had a baby with the Glossier Stretch Concealer, so it has more coverage than the Glossier Stretch Concealer, but it is a little bit more emollient and hydrating than the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This sets down to a natural finish on the skin. It's not matte and drying, but it's not super dewy. It is the perfect Goldilocks in between kind of finish for me. I just freaking love it. And it also has customizable coverage. So it starts at like medium, I would say, proper medium. And when I blend it all over my face, it kind of just looks like a beautiful skin-like foundation. But if I want to build it up for full coverage under my eyes, I just need to use 2 layers. It can be a little bit creasy because it is a thicker formula. So for me, I actually tend to prefer it all over the face and just stick with that true medium coverage versus trying to build it up to a full coverage and kind of getting too many layers of product. So this is definitely my #1 all over the face product, and I have different favorites for under my eyes. Oh, and also you can get this at Ulta. I think it's around $20, and also it comes in like 60 shades. So there's something for everyone, and hats off to Ariana for launching a great product and a great shade range. My second favorite concealer that I use all over the face instead of foundation is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Concealer, and this is in the shade Light 40N. This one is like a hair yellow for me, but you really can't see it once it's blended out. This is a super creamy, super blendable, stretchable concealer that just so easily blends out all over the face. Again, I just love a medium coverage concealer dotted over my face, right where I need it, blend it out, and I just feel like that really gives me that skin-like look that I crave while also perfecting my skin. And obviously that kind of method of using a concealer all over the face is not exactly the most cost-effective. However, that's why my picks for my favorite concealers all over the face are from affordable brands that you can get at Ulta. This one is under $10. The REM concealer is obviously like around $20, but I don't use products that are like $30, $40 all over my face because I do run out of them more quickly. It really doesn't hurt to keep repurchasing them over and over again, and I just love this. Under the eyes, I find that it's not full coverage enough for my personal liking, but if you love a medium coverage concealer under your eyes, then I absolutely recommend this. It is creamy, it's hydrating, it is smooth, it's beautiful, sets down to a natural finish. Love it. I think it's fantastic, and it comes in a lot of shades. Absolutely no one will be surprised what my favorite under eye concealer is. It's the Fitglow Concealer in the shade C2.5. The writing is completely worn off of this bottle. This has got to be my 6th, 7th, 8th bottle of this concealer, and that's saying something because it's pretty expensive. Nothing does what this does. This is a full coverage concealer that blurs and smooths my under eyes. It is packed full of incredible skincare benefits. It is hydrating without being overly dewy, and it doesn't emphasize texture in any way. And it is incredibly thick, which means it stays in place. It's not the kind of concealer where you put it under your eyes and then you blend it out with a brush in 10 seconds. That is not this concealer. That is not the point of this concealer. With this one, it has more of a thick texture and a tacky finish. So when you use this little doe foot and you put some product down on your under eyes, if you tap it in place, it is staying there and it is not going to be blending out. You're not going to lose your coverage as you blend it. That's why this is the best full coverage concealer that I've ever tried, because it's almost blurring, but it's somehow so incredibly skin-like. On me, it doesn't crease. It wears all day. It's practically waterproof, and the coverage just does not budge. It is not like your Tarte Shape Tape full coverage concealer that looks heavy and makeup-y and super glamorous. This just looks like skin, but filtered, perfected skin. It would be on my top 5 all-time favorite makeup products list. Like it's unbeatable. I don't think anything can ever come close to this because it's perfect in every way. Nothing can beat this. Like this is the pinnacle of what I look for in concealer forever. It is expensive though, so if you want to try it, you can use my code KAIT20, spelled KAIT 20, for 20% off your order, and that's a permanent coupon code. You can use it as many times as you want. Another product that recently I tried and it just kind of crawled its way into my favorites is the Vieve Cosmetics, what's it called? Matte Radiance Concealer in Light 2. This has cool pink undertones, and again, another brand that actually has pink undertones in the concealer because everything else pulls yellow on me. As you'll see in the application footage, this is a perfect shade match for me. It is a very creamy concealer. I would actually say this is incredibly similar to the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but I hated that one. I do not get the hype. The NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer never worked for me. It looked so dry and so cakey under my eyes, and it really did not have that much coverage, so it didn't really do anything that it was supposed to do. This is everything I thought the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer was going to be. This is that same kind of creamy, not thin but not thick texture, but this actually has a medium to full coverage. You can build this up to full coverage, and it's super blendable and stretchable. So it's the kind of product you can really easily use all over your face and blend it out instead of foundation. I'm wearing it under my eyes today as my concealer, and I only did one light layer, so I would say it's about medium coverage right now. It does set down to a matte finish, but like the name Matte Radiance suggests, it's not something that is like matte, drying, heavy, cakey. It's just something that really, to me, ends up looking more skin-like. Not as skin-like as the Fitglow. That is in its whole other category of itself. But this is definitely my second favorite under eye concealer that I've ever tried. And considering how many concealers I have tested in my lifetime, it's really saying a lot. Oh, and also this comes in 20 shades, and the brand Vieve Cosmetics is owned by Jamie Genevieve, who's an influencer. And I don't know if the video is going to go up before or after this, but I did film a Vieve Cosmetics brand review. If it's already up, I will link it on the screen so you can watch it, because I ended up falling head over heels in love with the brand, and I really was not expecting to. But if I haven't posted that yet, definitely stay tuned because Vieve is blowing my mind. I forgot a concealer. Oh, the Makeup Forever Full Cover Concealer is my favorite blemish concealer. I've been using this for what feels like at least 10 years of my life. The reason this looks best on spots is because it is full coverage. So if you just want like a tiny little spot conceal, it's perfect for that, and it sets down and is waterproof. So doesn't matter what you're doing, it's not coming off your face until you want it to. I featured this product in my how to cover acne video that I'll link on the screen above. It's just the best of the best. I would not put anything else on my blemishes because it is It's just perfect. So I have 11 blush picks and only one of them is a cream. I'm sorry. I know most of you like cream blushes, but I'm just in my powder era. What can I say? I'm gonna start with my favorite cream formula since most of you guys prefer cream formulas. My number one favorite cream blush formula is the Phytosurgence Skin Spark Blush Balm. These Skin Spark blush balms are just texturally the most exciting cream blush formula to play with. They're like a whipped cream meets a balm, and the pigment is so even and they are so smooth and blendable, and they just set down to this like slightly dewy but really creamy, juicy, buttery finish. It's just magic. The texture is unlike anything that I have felt before. It actually feels, as I'm touching it and closing my eyes, it feels like I am rubbing like a moisturizer or like the thin layer of like the Glossier After Balm, like something that is just occlusive, you know, like something really moisturizing on the skin. That's why it's like a blush balm, but it's not as sticky as the name blush balm would suggest. The only thing is, on me, cream blushes fade like crazy and like my face totally eats cream blush. So these really just last like 20 minutes on me, but that's how every cream blush goes on my face. Like everything only lasts 20 minutes on me unless it's a powder. One word of caution with the Phytosurgence Skin Spark Blush Balms, they definitely don't have preservatives in them. So I'll show you what mine looks like. This is how all of my Phytosurgence blush balms have gotten over time. There's just like little kind of harder balls that need to be like melted and massaged into the skin. So that's a little bit of a bummer. You know, that aspect of the product does give you a little bit of like homemade vibes, but honestly, their formulas are way ahead of their time. They are releasing some of the most innovative formulas that I have ever tried texture-wise. And so that's why Phytosurgence still remains one of my favorite brands, even though the shelf life of their products is pretty limited. So I'm really just hoping that Phytosurgence kind of starts hearing that feedback and starts including like some preservatives in them, because the formulas are just unbeatably good. If I had to pick just one powder blush favorite for the rest of my life, it would be hard. But it also wouldn't be that hard because it would be Laura Mercier Fresco. This is one that I had discovered just in the past few months, and it became my most used blush very quickly. This is the blush color I've been looking for basically my whole life. I've just wanted something that looks like my skin, but a little bit warmer, not too warm, not too orange or peachy though. It has to have a little bit of mauviness and it has to still be light enough to look like my skin, but like I'm barely wearing makeup, and this does that for me. Fresco is like a slightly peachy tan with a hint of mauve with lots of silver shimmer running through this, and in the pan you'll see that it is very, very glittery and it looks like big chunks of silver glitter. Some people have told me that they can see it on their face, but my personal experience is that once you apply it on your cheeks, it doesn't look like glitter. It just looks like a kind of, you know, satin or like somewhat shimmery formula that doesn't look like visible particles, at least to me. But when you swatch it on your hand, you can definitely see those shimmer particles. So just a heads up on that. This is just my go with everything blush. It's the blush I wear when I'm doing a smoky eye. It's the blush I wear when I have a bold lip. It's the blush that when there's a color on my eyes or lips that I don't know what will go with, this will go with it. It's just such a natural skin-like shade for me. And I picked this up because of TT Sandra. She always talked about Fresco, and I'm so glad. If you haven't checked out her channel, she's just one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. And I'm just very thankful for her for introducing me to this. A very close second for the goes with everything my skin but better vibes is the MAC Glow Play Blush and Blush Please. Now this formula is a cream powder hybrid, so it shouldn't go in the cream category, but it also doesn't fit in the powder category. It's one of its own. This is like Fresco, but less peachy and more mauve, so still very much kind of a skin-like goes with everything kind of color for me. But I'll reach for this when I want something that pulls a little bit more pink, and I'll reach for Laura Mercier Fresco when I want something that pulls a little bit more peachy tan. This has the most gorgeous sheen running through it. It just looks like beautiful creamy skin on the face. It doesn't look like anything shimmery. It's just like a beautiful pearl running through it. You can use your fingers with this formula because it's kind of like that bouncy Maybelline matte mousse kind of formula, but you know, a little bit more of an amped up luxurious version of that. But I personally find that it applies much better, much faster with a brush. Tap it in, blend it out, boom, 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 you're good to go. And it has the skin-like quality of a cream, but it has more of the longevity and the ease of application of a powder, and that's why I love this one. And I can't talk about Blush Please without also including my other two favorites, Heat Index and Rosy Does It. I think, strangely enough, Rosy Does It is pulling ahead as my second favorite MAC Glow Play formula. This is a bright, cool-toned purple shade, and I recently featured it in my I'm Cold makeup look. If you haven't seen that tutorial, I'll link it on the screen above because this was the hero product from that video. It looks a little bit bright and scary in the pan, but once it's on your face, it's just the most beautiful kind of flushed, cold, wind-burnt skin look. It's my absolute favorite winter blush. I love wearing this like super built up on the cheeks. Then I'll add a little bit of it on my lips since it is that kind of creamier formula. Pop on a high shine gloss, a little skinny baby wing and lots of mascara, and it is like such a vibe. Love that one. And then for summertime, my favorite is the Glow Play blush in Heat Index. This is just such a stunning shade when the weather's warm. I love pairing this with the same color lip, like a bright pop of coral red, a nice bronzy glossy eye, and some bronzy skin, and it is like, oh, one of my favorite summer looks. And again, you just cannot go wrong with this formula. It's perfect. I just wish that MAC would release more shades because it's one of the best blush formulas of all time. A product I might have to tie for my second favorite goes with anything kind of blush is the M Cosmetics Heaven's Glow Radiant Veil Blush in Venetian Rose. This could definitely be tied with MAC Glow Play for like my number 2 pick behind Laura Mercier Fresco. This is just a kind of rosier, shimmery version of MAC's Blush Please. It's definitely that kind of baked powder formula, so when you swirl your brush in, make sure to tap it off because there's quite a lot of kickback, and this is real pigmented. This is also not for the faint of heart. If you don't like shimmer in your blush, stay far away from this formula. This is the kind of blush that I skipped highlighter with because it has such a sheen to it. You can kind of see the particles on the face, but it's really not anything that I would describe as glittery. It's more so that it's just like a shimmery blush. Personally, I can't see the shimmer particles on the face. It just looks like I'm wearing blush and highlighter, but in one product. So it's kind of like my go-to when I'm in a rush and I don't want the extra step of adding a highlighter. I like that this one has some like rosier, more red undertones to it while still giving me a kind of skin-like look that goes with pretty much anything. My only con to these blushes would be that they are so huge. I hate traveling with them. They're so hard to fit in my Alex IKEA drawers, but I love this formula so much. And my second favorite M Cosmetics Heaven's Glow Radiant Veil Blush is Cherub. I love pink blush. It's just like so brightening on my face. This one is a very light, slightly warm toned pink blush, whereas my next favorite is going to be a very cool toned pink. This is one that I reach for when I want a warm toned pink, and you know, I love to pair this with kind of like a monochrome look. I'll do a matching pink lip. Definitely another one of my favorites. And my cool toned pink favorite is the Persona blush in Bubble. This is a perfect dupe for the Dior Rosy Glow Backstage blush in pink. I was kind of deciding if I wanted to include the Dior because I use that equally as much as I use the Persona. But when the Persona is the same formula, the same finish, and a fraction of the price and much more accessible because it's rarely sold out, I just had to go with this one. This is really, really sheer, just like the Dior ones. So if you have darker skin, you might have an issue building up these formulas. But at the same time, it might be bright enough that it shows up. I just really haven't seen it on enough people, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on that. But it's just that perfect cool toned flush color. I just find that this kind of a shade is really brightening on the skin, and I find it to be super flattering. Yet another Vieve Cosmetics product. What do you know? This is their Sunset Blush in the shade Piazza, and I would describe it as a very dark burnt terracotta with a little bit of mauve to it. It's not quite as orange as just terracotta. There's a little bit of a mauviness to it, but it's pretty deep and pretty warm. This is the blush that I'm wearing on my cheeks today because I just filmed my Vieve Cosmetics review before this. And as you can see, even though it's this like very warm, deep shade, it still goes perfectly fine with like a dark purple lip. So it is that kind of color that goes with everything. This is incredibly pigmented. And I believe they designed all of their blushes to be able to work on a wide range of skin tones. That's why they are so heavily pigmented. So with this one, I just have to have a lighter hand. I do like 2 taps in the pan, really rub it on the back of my hand, and then I can apply it to my face and I don't have any issues. This also is a satin formula, so it has a tiny, tiny bit of a pearl running through it, which is my favorite kind of powder formula. And I also really enjoy this kind of flip packaging with this faux leather case. Really impressed with Vieve Cosmetics. And my last favorite blush formula is the Bare Minerals Blonzer formula. This is in their old packaging and this is in the updated packaging. My favorite for a few years now has been Kiss of Rose. It's the perfect blush that I reach for when I want to look kind of sunburnt, because it's like a very, very red tan and it has a ton of gold sheen running through it. In the footage, I really built this up so you could try to see the difference between these two colors. I don't normally wear them like that intensely pigmented on the cheeks. I just wasn't sure how much color the camera was going to be able to pick it up. This is very richly pigmented. It's super like velvety and soft and smooth and not super like powdery and dry like the M Cosmetics ones. This is more of like a very like velvety smooth finish. This might be a little bit too shimmery for some people. This one has more sheen than Kiss of Pink, so just a heads up on that. And then Kiss of Pink is this beautiful light pink shade. It's a little bit warm and I think it has a little bit of a silver or a pink sheen running through it. Yeah, it's more of a pink sheen, which I find really flattering on the face. The shimmer in this is more like a pearl, whereas Kiss of Rose is more like a shimmer. Just a few products left. My favorite bronzer of 2022 was one that you guys recommended to me, and it's the Tom Ford bronzer in the shade Terra. This is their mini version, which was, I think, $75 as it is, or $65 or something like that. So I can't imagine how expensive the larger version is, but honestly, I don't like products that are super big and bulky, you know? This is the perfect size of a bronzer for me. I love this because it really is not too orange or too warm. I have a really hard time finding bronzer that blends into my skin and looks natural since I'm quite pale and I do have cool undertones. I need something that is not too peach, and this is the perfect shade for me. So thank you guys so much for recommending such a wonderful product to me. This absolutely is the perfect powder bronzer shade I was looking for, and because of this, I did declutter my Makeup by Mario bronzer in light because that one was just a little bit too orange. This formula is great, you know, it's just kind of a classic matte powder finish and it looks beautiful and skin-like. It is on the more sheer side that I really appreciate because I'm the kind of person who tends to be a little bit heavy-handed with bronzer. So because this is a more sheer formula, I'm able to really build it up as needed. And my favorite cream bronzer of the year by far was the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. This is even more sheer and possibly even less warm than the Tom Ford bronzer. That's why this was just such a no-brainer for me. It is very, very sheer to the point where you can see I have hit pan on this bronzer because I'm able to layer it and layer it and layer it to get the right amount of coverage for my skin. And I just love that it's sheer because it's so impossible to overdo this product. And that's why I got Light Medium, because it is so sheer. I did hear that light was a little bit more orangey than I would have wanted, so I'm so happy with this color. It's super emollient. It has a very, very dewy finish on the skin, but I find that it adds almost like a filtered effect a little bit. And with just a touch of powder, I'm able to take that shine down and make it much more long lasting. And it just looks beautifully skin-like. You cannot mess up this product. It is like so beginner friendly. I just think it's absolutely wonderful. I like this formula so much. I wish they came out with a blush version. It would be oh, so pretty. And my last favorite base product of 2022 was the Fitglow Bamboo Hyaluronic Acid Blurring Powder. This is the powder I'm wearing on my skin today. I feel like I still look glowy in certain areas where I want that kind of skin-like shine to come through, but it's matte on my forehead where I really don't like to be shiny. It's a heavy-duty powder that feels lightweight, so it's super high performing. It blurs the skin. It's one of those hyaluronic acid powders, so it feels incredibly soft and creamy and very finely milled. You know, Fitglow is just out here making some of the best formulas that you can possibly get your hands on. I wish more people knew about the brand because they are so incredible. They are on the pricier side, but all of their products are infused with tons of skincare benefits that I personally really love. I've heard some people speculate it's probably close to the By Terry powder, though I haven't tried that one. All I know is that this is the powder that lasts the longest on me, that looks the most blurring, and just really makes me feel my best. Woo! Done and dusted. That was part 1 of my 2022 makeup favorites series. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be eyes, and part 3, which will be lips. They're gonna be a doozy. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please click the like button because it really helps our channels grow. And if you made it this far, hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.